Jharkhand and Maharashtra, and we need to watch the results very carefully.
Yashwant, Deshmukh is joining us, but Yogendraji, I know you're on the tail end of our time with you, but stay as long as you you can. But just one question to you.
I would have loved to speak to Yashwant Bhai, but
ठीक है, we'll organize it another time. एक आपसे last comment मैं ले लूं अगर वो ये है कि आपने कहा कि if the BJP had lost, they would have not presented it as Modi's loss, and they will present it as Modi's wins. That's their politics. But in your understanding of the BJP's politics in the North Indian states, in what's loosely called the Hindi heartland, what does Haryana and the failure, as you called it, to read the undercurrent, what does it bring home to you as a critic of the BJP, as someone who works with the opposition?
The message is that you have to, you cannot be complacent. B, you need a broader caste coalition. Dalit voter is one thing, but BC voter, backward caste voters, need to be very specifically targeted. Rahul Gandhi talks about caste census, which is fine, which is going to be an issue. No one can deny that. But just speaking about caste census by itself does not mobilize backward communities. Backward castes do not have a uniform politics cutting across states. You have to individually target that. You have to individually mobilize those communities. And that is where the opposition will have to spend enormous energy. Having farmers move, supporting farmers movement is not enough. That gets you only if you did dominate peasant communities. And speaking about caste, census is not enough. That gets you a broad, general, abstract support. Converting that specific support of communities, which are farming communities, which are backward communities, is a political task that remains to be undertaken.
Okay, Yogendraji, thank you. We look forward later in the week maybe to talking to you and Yashwant together. That would make for a very interesting conversation. I know you're very busy today and much in demand, and so is Yashwant. So we let you go now. Thank you so much. Yashwant, welcome. Yogendraji was just doing a kind of mea culpa. He was saying he got it wrong. He didn't read the undercurrent. Abhi Haryana se shuru karte hain. We'll come to J&K right after that. What do you make of this? Because once again, the focus will be on the exit polls missing this. Not just the exit polls, to be fair, journalists missing this, politicians missing this. I think even the BJP themselves probably did not expect this. How do you read what has happened in Haryana, Yashwant? Yashwant, I can't hear you.
Yeah. So, Barkha, a few pointers on the findings that we were discussing the other day on the exit polls. One thing that we said that BJP's vote share is not going down. In fact, that is adding up. That was the finding of the exit poll, that Congress is getting a huge upswing by virtue of all the other parties getting decimated, particularly the JJP, and they are gaining almost like 12, 14% upswing ahead of the BJP as far as the vote share is concerned, and they are ahead of the BJP right now the vote share is concerned as we are talking. Now the question is, when there is an emotion for change, but it would have been even more trickier situation, Barkha, had the result would be the other way around, say Congress as a majority and BJP as a non-majority. My problem with that mandate would have been how to explain it in terms of pro or anti-incumbency. Because a party which is in 10 years in power and increasing its vote share, would that be have treated anti-incumbent verdict just because their seat share would have been lower than the previous last time? So those kind of complications were there even while we were analyzing the exit poll data. Vote to seat conversion is always a tricky affair, and it's not a mere culpa, but I always said that that's a handicap. A party which is getting more vote ideally should be getting more seats. What's the big deal? But that 2 plus 2 is not 4 in first past the post system. That's the problem. Having said that, I also believe that this is beyond data. Beyond data, when I say, that is like in the data, you can only capture the emotion to change. You can only capture what kind of jump the main opposition party is making, what kind of consolidation of the opposition voters in one party's favor is happening. But when there is a kind of a self-goal at organizational level, that is something which data cannot really point you out. For example, You remember when we were doing the Lok Sabha election, post-election Uttar Pradesh analysis, and we said that this doesn't make any sense. What happened in Uttar Pradesh has all the writings of internal sabotage or infighting or whatever way you want to understand that. But like here, what I believe what has happened is that Mr. Hooda, for example, Mr. Hooda, everybody said to me, yes, there is a probability of Congress getting huge swing and winning this election. But Mr. Hooda just wants to ensure that the number is not too comfortable for the Congress so that he is not controlled by the central leadership. Just like precisely the line which we used in Uttar Pradesh election, 100 ग्राम काटने के चक्कर में किलो भर काट लिया. That is precisely what has happened in Haryana for the Congress. In order to do micromanagement, in order to do a controlled detonation, Barkha, this has gone out of hand for it. There is nothing called controlled detonation as far as micromanagement is concerned. There is something where, being smart is a good thing in politics. Being over smart backfires. And I guess this is what has happened. Also to bring to your notice, Barkha, Aam Aadmi Party has, as we are talking on the Election Commission website, Aam Aadmi Party has polled about 2% votes. Now, Aam Aadmi Party and Congress, they worked together in Lok Sabha and they actually got more votes than the BJP. Now, these 2%, when we do the micro-analysis, I am absolutely dead sure, would be thing which would underline that a clear-cut majority and like that. Apart, I'm not even going into the Kumari Sailaja not being accommodated and I'm not even going into that. I'm talking about the clear, plain thing that Rahul Gandhi said we should be having an Aam Aadmi Party alliance. Aam Aadmi Party started with 20 and eventually they were okay with 7 and even 5. But Mr. Hooda's insistent that those 5 seats we are going to decide, while all Aam Aadmi Party was insisting on that we want the winnable seats. We shall decide the seats. So I think something in all these micromanagement went wrong. And that micromanagement, which the BJP gets benefited from their organization, from their RSS cadre and everything. Time and again, Barkha, we have seen Congress giving a good victory away just because of the organizational situation and BJP winning just because of the organization. You remember Madhya Pradesh, what happened? This is the second one coming out.
Yeah. Can I ask you though, I was interviewing Dipinder Hooda and I asked him this question. I said कि ये rumor चल रहा है कि आप लोग जीत तो चाहते हैं पर इतनी बड़ी जीत नहीं कि आपका अपना leverage खत्म हो जाए. And he said, obviously he laughed it off and he said, कौन नेता कम जीत चाहेगा? But otherwise, Dipinder is very cautious. Then there was Kumari Sailaja very openly talking about being hurt, being a contender, the infighting. What in the end cost the Congress? Was it, Yogendra Yadav argued that people started thinking, ye ek jati aur ek parivar ki domination hogi, hame nahi chahiye. Do you think it was that? Do you think it was the Dalit vote as reflected in Sailaja's disquiet? Do you think it was something else? What do you think it was? Because your own survey, if I'm not wrong, did see Hooda as the most popular choice for chief minister. I think we have that slide also somewhere. So what do you think happened, Yashwant?
Barkha, it has everything to do with overconfidence, complacence, and may I say, without any, no, it should not be taken as any comment on any analyst as such, but misreading or over-analyzing the 24 verdict. Barkha, after the 24 Lok Sabha elections, when we were discussing, I did say this more often than once that, this result of Uttar Pradesh, result of Rajasthan, where BJP polled 10% more votes than the Congress and is still managing to get only the equal seats, this is more of an infighting in sabotage and those kind of issues. Now add those 35 seats to BJP's tally and you will see the BJP's number beyond majority and NDA sitting at 325, 330 seats. I guess that what happened because of BJP's infighting in UP and Rajasthan and its impact on the BJP's number and NDA's number, Many of my opposition friends and their analysts, they overanalyzed it and they got carried away. They analyzed it, वही same purana चीज, Kisaan, Pehelwan, and Jawan. While Jawan's question was like BJP won 5 out of 5 in Uttarakhand, 4 out of 4 in your Himachal. Kisaan, they won hands down in so many of the rural states. So what I was simply trying to say that I understand that BJP malfunctioned in 2 states, and yes, the numbers went wrong for them. They did not get the kind of numbers which they were expecting. That's fine. But what were the signs of the opposition revival, as everybody was analyzing, particularly the Congress revival? Did we misread those signs? Were the Congress sympathizers and analysts a bit overtly gung-ho on that revival? And that question will be asked again. Even though Congress became the #1 party as far as the vote share is concerned, as we almost in favor.
Yashwant, I don't know. Yashwant, can you rejoin? Can Yashwant rejoin? I'm sure Yashwant will reconnect with us. The signal was really bad. But like Yogendra Yadav, he was identifying one main factor that he thinks may have gone wrong for the Congress campaign, and that was a kind of overprojection of the Huda family, of Bhupinder Huda and his son. Both he and Yogendra Yadav have made the argument that voters, or particularly non-Jat voters, may have looked at the Huda family as and being so powerful in Haryana as being reflective of a government that would be of one family and one caste. While we're waiting for Yashwant, let's bring up some graphics. I can go through some numbers. Why don't we do that? Let's look at the Haryana numbers. Could I have the Haryana graphics on the screen? Now, here's what we do know. We know that the results that we're seeing in the state elections of Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir have defied what the pollsters said. In Haryana, the BJP is all set to form the government for the 3rd time, defying all kinds of forecasts. Yashwant, Deshmukh and Yogendra Yadav were just listing the possible reasons for that. I can see Mr. Deshmukh at the back end. We can probably bring him on. We just lost him right there. Hopefully the connection will be a bit better. Okay, Yashwant, you have terrible connection, but let's try and at least get some points from what you were saying.
I'm sorry, because I'm using my phone, Barkha, somehow.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm using my phone. If it's still having problem, I will try to see some system is there, but I'm just outside the studio in a corner, so I'm sorry about that. Okay. I hope you are getting my voice now.
Yeah. Go ahead, Yashwant. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just trying to say that, the truth is somewhere in between a complete wholesome revival of the Congress and complete debacle of the opposition in that way. The thing is, there were signs of revival of Congress, but just about signs. Congress had to work over and above that in order to ensure that those signs are not, they do not mislead them in their organizational capacities. They do not let internal factionalism take over public's emotion for change, in that way. I think Congress missed, and that I won't say even missed, they overplayed that kind of micromanagement in their personal favor rather than the organizational favor. If the Congress would have given, say, even 5-7 seats to Aam Aadmi Party, those 2% would have made all the difference probably. So I think we have to seriously think if we overanalyzed or somehow misinterpreted the Lok Sabha election results in some way, and public's mood is difficult to, in any case, understand, and public perception is very difficult thing to decode, particularly in the election matters, in all said and done.
Yeah.
But complacency is something which did the Congress in. Overconfidence, complacency, and the personal micromanagement for the personal gains. If that is the thing, this is where everything went south.
I was asking you before we lost you that how do you explain the fact that your own polls did show Mr. Huda Senior as the most popular, perhaps the most also known, recall value bhi unhi ki sabse zyada hai, choice for chief minister. And ML Khattar was really at the bottom of that, he didn't even figure in your top 4 choices, for example, right? So then how do we, it's थोड़ा सा contradiction लगता है कि हुडा का कार्ड overplay हो गया, बाकी लोगों को ठीक नहीं लगा, but Huda is the most popular choice for chief minister. How do we understand this seeming contradiction?
Well, both the things are correct, Barkha. If you look into the 30.8 of Huda Senior and 9% of Huda Junior, you are looking at the precise Congress vote share of 40.5%, which Election Commission is showing right now. But as I said, Kumari Selja, even if it's 4.9%, it mattered. These 1%, 2% Aam Aadmi Party matters. It's a question of magnanimity. It's a question of how serious player you are. You see, the problem, I think, is from the both ends, regional leadership as well as the central leadership. The central leadership probably could not make Mr. Huda make comfortable. Listen, even if we win 70 seats, you are going to be the chief minister. Don't do it. Number one. Number two, Mr. Huda could not became magnanimous enough to offer enough space for Kumari Selja and everybody else or Aam Aadmi Party that, okay, let's win first and then decide on rest of the things later. Even if Congress would have won 70 seats and Mr. Huda's supporters would have been 50 out of 70, he would have been chief minister. So I think these things have hurt Congress really bad. And these things have hurt even BJP in the Lok Sabha election in Rajasthan and in UP. We have seen that. BJP probably is lucky, in a way, luckiest party in India at this point of time, I would say, that even after those internal squabbles and other things, their mother organization at the end of the day remains there as the mother organization.
Right.
वो माँ की तरह खड़े रहते हैं कि कितने भी नाराज हो माँ तो माँ ही होती है. I think they are lucky. I think they are just plain lucky on that. And they know, because I was just sitting and talking to the reporters from Haryana and people over there. And they did say that one big difference between the Lok Sabha and current one is this time we could see the RSS guys on the ground, which was not there in the Lok Sabha election, be it Jammu, be it Himachal. And if that is the case, I think the Lok Sabha results were kind of a reminder to RSS and BJP leadership both that, those kind of anger and bitterness only pulls their tally and the numbers down, So they are quick learners, Barkha. They are very quick learners. And I think that kind of learning has saved their day. And not only the day, this changes, Barkha, everything. The narrative changes. The assembly election narrative for Maharashtra is going to change now, which was a given.
That was going to be my next question. That had the BJP lost Haryana, we would have seen a lot of analysis on Modi's brand after he slipped below a majority in the Lok Sabha. Also because Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, did not campaign as actively, 4 rallies in this time to 10 in Haryana. Now that the BJP is going to form the next government for the 3rd term, you say this changes everything, the momentum, the morale for the upcoming assembly elections, but also what does it do to the debate around the Modi brand? Because it's not clear how it played out on the ground, because he was more muted than normal in terms of his participation.
Exactly. You are absolutely right. So more than the Modi brand or Modi's involvement, I think BJP managed to pull the sock and managed to, tell Congress that, okay, even as an organizational backbench, we can contest and win the election. This is something which happened in Madhya Pradesh, so it is not a fluke. We know happened in Madhya Pradesh, we know happened in Chhattisgarh. Now we see it is happening all said and done in Haryana. This has happened in Jammu, where in spite and despite of so many senior people being changed the tickets and organization had a fair day in selection of the candidates in Jammu, and that has pulled district for them. So I think for Maharashtra, first of all, the narrative changes. because the Congress was going overtly aggressive after the Lok Sabha elections. And the first reaction today that amused me a lot was not from the BJP, giving an indirect swap to Congress. It was Uddhav Thacker's Sena, basically literally saying that you cannot win your own backyard, and you are talking about giving a chief minister face in Maharashtra. So Congress's own capacity to negotiate the seats and other thing with this is going to be in trouble. Their own way of saying that we are the biggest party, we are going to be the biggest party, and we can give the chief minister, that is going to be debated and questioned all over again. Having said that, not just about Haryana, I think what Congress has missed the bus in Delhi now. If they would have been magnanimous enough to give 7-8 seats to Aam Aadmi Party in Haryana, Barkha, they would have asked for 10-15 seats in Delhi. Now that Aam Aadmi Party has seen that, they are not going to be accommodating Congress for any reason whatsoever. So that entire narrative of India alliance going as a cohesive unit, one unit and everything, with Haryana election, I mean, we all say that a week is a long time. Forget about week. Even 2 hours is a long time in politics. Those 2 hours when the trends changed this morning, that changed the entire narrative in our studios, in the discussions, and in the public mind as well. I think from the verge of being eliminated in Maharashtra, today I can say that Haryana is going to help BJP to get back in the race. That they are going to say, smell the blood, and okay, this is something which is doable, we can do, and they are going to go for it. And that's gonna be an interesting
one. Now let's switch our attention. As you remind us very interestingly that the first swipe came not from the BJP, from the Uddhav Sena. Let's turn our attention though to J&K. Very different implications. It doesn't have the same impact on domestic politics, but it is a very historic election, and one of Modi's biggest decisions in a way has been the backdrop of this election, which is the abrogation of 370. Now, how do you see the very comfortable victory that the National Conference and the Congress, and it has to be said more than the Congress, the National Conference has established for itself?
Well, Barkha, we know that there are 43 seats in Jammu, out of which 16 are actually Muslim majority, even in Jammu, as we call, significant Muslim population. So if you look into the Jammu seats only from the Hindu angle, BJP has actually managed to win almost like 100% out there. 28 out of 29 or 30, whichever was at stake as far as the seats of Hindu representation is concerned. So I think along with Haryana, BJP has got the bragging rights today that we did away 370, and see those who are suffering from 370, they have voted for us. And those who are basically on the other side of the idea of 370 getting away, they have polled for National Conference. Fair enough. It's a democracy, that's fine. Question is, when we were looking into the details of National Congress plus Congress numbers, the question of Mufti Muhammad Saeed, when he said that I could not take Congress along because it did not have even a single Hindu face in among the MLAs. And the question is pertinent today because last I checked, the 5 seats where Congress was leading, it was not a single Hindu face out there. In fact, in the National Conference agenda of seat, fortunately for them, there are 2 Hindus winning on National Conference ticket. So at least National Congress can still say that we also hold some mandates from Jammu. It's not that BJP has won the complete Jammu thing, and thank God for that, because I was fearing that if this will become a Valley-only government, Muslim-only government, then the deep divide of Jammu and Kashmir, that fault line is not going to be healed further, in that way. At some point of time, in order to heal those fault lines, Barkha, me and you both know that those warring factions, those on the complete two poles of the spectrum, they need to come and form a unity government at some point of time. But at least for now, I am happy that NC's two Hindu MLAs candidates are leading. I hope they win. I hope they get in good enough ministry and face responsibility. And this is and Jammu gets fair share of power in this government.
But before we come to this philosophical idea of a unity government in J&K, Omar Abdullah has been very categorical that he will not ally with the BJP. I asked him this on record. He believes that one of the reasons that PDP has got decimated is because of its previous alliance. One of the reasons, previous alliance with the BJP. Now, what I'm trying to understand in this election is that you have an entire region. Yes, NC has 1 or 2 seats, so it's not a pure Hindu-Muslim divide, but it's a very, very strong regional divide. And since they have won comfortably, I asked Omar, do you want to be chief minister? He said, no, I don't have any such ambitions. And I said, what is your ambition? He said, to turn the clock back on 5th August 2019, i.e. 370. Now, what I'm curious to know is, how much that re-enters the public debate and what happens? How does the Modi government handle it?
I think 370 is a thing of the past, Barkha, honestly. Reason being that in the exit poll data, when we asked about that, it was not the number one issue neither in Jammu nor in Kashmir Valley. The issues were bread and butter, unemployment and other things, which were pretty much like Haryana. Yes, there was a significant chunk, I would say about 20 to 30%, which still said that 370 debate matters. But then that 20 to 30% had a polarizing view. Like, those who said it matters in Jammu, they voted for the BJP. Those who said it matters in the valley, they voted for National Conference. So that kind of polarization of, say, 25% on each end of the there, which said that okay, 370 is a thing of the past, and for us it is important to see the issue of unemployment, issue of other things, inflation, price rise, and everything that comes in. Now, Omar Abdullah rightly said to you, he would not dare to do the BJP experiment looking at the PDP numbers on the screen. But at the same time, Barkha, I also believe that people may polarize, people may give that verdict, but in a long-term peace solution, peace brokering, peace process, whichever way we look at it, it is the leaders who have to take the brave step. And those steps is not something which only have to be taken by Omar. It has to be taken by everybody who is involved. Otherwise, if this government formation sends a message that this is a valley-only, Muslim-only government, that kind of gesturing is done, then we are only going to see the fault lines getting deepened further rather than getting healed.
Yeah. Final question. One big message from both of these states, very different states, apples and oranges. But, what is the takeaway? Haryana, you said, changes everything. J&K, different set of factors. Omar Abdullah is going to have to cooperate with the center. It's a sensitive state. It's a border state. There's national security issues. The foreign minister is headed to Pakistan. We've seen, there's the issue of terrorism. There are all kinds of other issues. He's going to have to find a way to open a channel of communication with the Modi government, over, whether he likes to or not. What are the messages from both of these verdicts?
I think one line which I am observing, not just in these two verdicts, but it's now a pretty national phenomena, is further bipolarization of the states into two political lines. Sometimes anti-BJP, sometimes anti-Congress, whichever way, on the line that you can pick. And the others and the splinter groups and the regional names are getting squeezed out in this process. I'm not saying that regionals are not important. They are important. After all, National Conference is a regional party. But whomsoever is pretty important in that particular state or region, the process of bipolarization is going on. And in those processes, the spoilers, bot katwa as we call in UP Bihar ki politics, those spoilers are no more getting space. And this is a process which is gaining momentum with each election that we are going in. Say, for example, in Haryana, last time the others polled almost like 40% votes in Haryana. This time their number is getting below 20%. You know, BJP and Congress together polled hardly about 60% last time. This time, these two parties have polled almost like 80% plus. So this matters, and from the perspective of democratic stability, yeah, I know some of the friends see this as a demise of the federalism, but I don't see it, because I am saying, it is not a bipolarization between BJP and the Congress or the national parties. It is a polarization of the two fronts. Sometimes Congress is leading that front, sometimes the regional party, like the National Conference, is leading that front. Congress is a secondary player. But people do not like to waste their votes and their vote anymore. I think people are giving much more clear and sound mandate, and people are giving positive mandate. I've been working on that book which is now coming out on the pro incumbency emotions, that this century is less about anti-incumbency and more about pro incumbency, in a way that how leaders can and are doing or showing remarkable ways of delivery of governance, or making their own vote bank count for them, using multiple tools and things. I mean, there are so many case studies, but gone are the days, Barkha, of the default anti-incumbent verdict. When you would do nothing, yet a default victory would come your way just because you happen to be opposition. I think those days are gone, and a lot to learn from that, not just for the politicians, but I think for journalists and pollsters, everybody alike. Public has changed. Public are viewing, perceptions have their own way of finding their way to finding their voice at the polling booth, and there is so much to learn from all of this.
And I think the most, even though it sometimes destabilizes our forecasts, the most brilliant thing about democracy is how people can just surprise you. They can humble you. They can surprise you.
They humble us. They humble us. You can always count on the common man to humble down everybody under the sun. So that is the beauty of this democracy, and that's what makes us smile even after getting it wrong, Barkha. You get humbled, but and that's why you enjoy it. Okay, this is what happened. Oh my God, this is what they meant when they was telling this particular thing. And that is, you scratch your head, and then you get up and say, okay, next is the election is coming. We have to learn and move ahead.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Yashwant. Always a pleasure.
Thank you,
and again, it's very nice to talk to you, because you're always very open about any mistakes that you make, and any learnings that you get. And that's the beauty, as we all just said, we all make mistakes, and the people have the last laugh, and it should always be that way in a democracy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bye, Yashwant. Bye, Yashwant. All right, and we are going to, at this point, take a break. We will be back at 6 p.m. with analysis of these two dramatic results. Just when you think that, you can forecast it all, ye to hame pata hai, ye hoga, wo aisa kuch nahi hota hai. So a humbling moment for everybody here. 6 p.m. we'll see you to analyze what we can learn about politics from both the Jammu and Kashmir and the Haryana results. Thank you for staying with us this whole morning, half the day now, and see you soon. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Voter Story and support independent, robust journalism.